Hi, this is Drew. Coming on here to share a little bit about the cultural artifact that I chose to analyze. It's a short film called Most. In some countries, it's called The Bridge. Um, and basically, the plot of it is you have this son and his dad. There's only the two of them. And that's who this movie follows the most. There's a couple other characters, um, but they don't have major parts. Again, this movie's only about 33 minutes, so it's pretty. We follow them a lot. Um, but basically, it shows this bond and that this father and the son have, and it's really neat to see and just relate to how the gospel is. Um, but the plot of it is this little son is begging his dad to let him go to work with him. Um, so his dad agrees, and they go to work the next day. Um, and basically, the dad's like, "Hey, stay here. I'm gonna go up and the bridge." He operates a bridge for the railroad that comes down over rivers and stuff, so it could pass by. Um, so he says, "Hey, stay here. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna make all my inspections and everything, make sure everything's good." And as the dad's doing that, the son is outside. He hears the whistle blow for the train, um, and he notices that the bridge is still up to let boats go by. There's no boats in sight as of right now. Um, so he sees the steams, he hears the whistles, and he's trying to get his dad's attention. And his dad's in the tower doing whatever he's got to do. So the son knew that on the bridge there was a lever that he could pull to let the gears. It would release the gears so that the bridge would drop. And this was a very heavy and hard to throw lever, as you can imagine. So the son tries to do that. He goes to the bridge, he tries to do that, and he falls into the gearbox as he's doing this. Um, and at the very last minute, the dad notices. He sees his son fall into this gearbox, and then he notices the train. Um, and he's kind of freaking out. He's going back and forth. What do I do? What do I do? Knowing that if he closes the bridge, his son is most likely not going to make it. He's going to be crushed. Um, so that's the plot of it. I kind of want to talk a little bit about why I studied it and why it's important. Um, so the cool thing about the story is that it's been told um, in so many different versions since 1865. I did a brief search and I probably came up with about 10 versions. One from like India and one from 1970, one from 2003. I mean, it's been told all sorts of times. Um, so in this particular film, it's kind of neat. It's by a American director, but he went to Czech Republic to film it. And when he was asked why he did it in Czech Republic, he said, "Hey, like I think these American actors are going to be too melodramatic. I think they're going to read into it too much." Where he believed that, hey, these actors here, they might get into it more. They might be able to feel it more. Um, so we mentioned that there's the father and the son, and then there's a couple more characters. The only other one that is consistent is a young woman, and she happens to be a heroin addict living on the streets. Um, and as you see the film, you could kind of tell she's bouncing from city to city, home to home. Um, and it's kind of neat because it gives a story a multi-perspective look on its own, because we're seeing it through several people. And it's kind of cool. This character has a huge transition throughout the movie, from the beginning to the end. Um, so as we look at the world of the most, I think I mentioned that it was filmed in Prague, and it's not typically or it's not known for being a wealthy city. Um, so we get shots of just the average city, and then we see a shot of the apartment that they're living in, and it's a very small one. I think the kitchen is tiny, uh, about the size of a walk-in closet or so, and then I think the parent or the son and the dad room together. They sleep in the same bed. Um, and I said perhaps this is a symbolism that they do not have very much. Um, but what they do have is each other, and that's what matters to them. You could tell that they value each other and that their bond is very strong. Um, and I questioned this, and I went online and I did some research, and I came across an article that says researchers routinely have found that lower income parents and guardians are extremely attentive to their children's needs despite the many barriers that they must overcome to provide for their family. Now, in my paper, I suggested that this financial situation and maybe even the mom not being in the picture um, has increased the father and the son bond within this film because they have to rely on each other. That's all they have. Um, and as we walk through this film, you see that the son and the dad have many intimate and heart to heart moments. In the beginning, the dad is sad about for no unknown reason, and the son tries to tell him a joke and gives him a hug. And who who wouldn't be cheered up by that, right? Um, and then a little bit later, we see the son begging to go into work with his father, and the dad's making excuses. Hey, it's cold and it's rainy and it's gonna be dark. And he's like, well, we'll just bring flashlights and hot chocolate. Um, and then, so this leads into the plot of the movie where the dad needs to choose between his son and this train full of people to save them. Um, so I think that this is relatable to us today because the things that we see in the movie, the love between earthly families, the girl abusing drugs, the females that may have been taken advantage of by their boyfriends, either emotionally or physically, or their boyfriends just weren't tending to their needs. We see the boyfriends being broken up with. We see men going off to war. These are all things throughout the film that people of all backgrounds can relate to in one way or another. Um, and like I said, this can tie to the gospel in several ways. I know that my explanation does no justice whatsoever to seeing the actual movie, so I highly recommend you looking it up. You could see it on YouTube for free. Um, but it's kind of neat because this movie, or this story, I should say, I think it was created within the church, and it's meant to show a modern day sacrifice that people can associate with. Um, when you watch this movie or hear even the story, it tugs at your heart. Um, and if we look at the story itself, we follow the little boy and he's interested, and even maybe even feels burden for the people that he walks by and just sees their distress. And when we tie that to Christ, he was the same way. He was very burdened and distressed by um, the people around him that were in pain, that were going through sickness, that were going through loss. Um, and we see that he heals that. He draws near to that. Um, and then in the end, the father has to choose to sacrifice his son so that others can keep living. Um, and God did that. God has chosen to send his son to be a sacrifice for us so that he could have eternal life. Um, and obviously there are some differences. The son um, fell into the gearbox on accident. Christ did not fall on the cross by accident. He chose that. Um, so we want to keep that in mind. We don't want to get too caught up in that. But there is similarity there. And it's kind of cool. Towards the end there, after his son dies, after he deals with that, after he's done with his weeping, he sees this young woman walking on the street with her baby boy, and it's the drug addicted woman, the drug abuser, um, and they kind of have this moment where they're connecting eyes. They realize who each other is, um, and in that moment, maybe that's when the dad was thinking, okay, it was worth it. Um, Even though my son had to die, it was worth it because now these people were able to keep a living life, and maybe from there he's hoping that they go out and do bigger and better things. I don't really know, But he just has this big smile on his face, and he almost cheers at the end, like, yes, like at least something good came out of it. So that's my artifact. I hope you enjoyed hearing about it, and I genuinely think that you should go and watch it. All right, thanks for watching.